The voice you never questioned. There's a voice in your head. It sounds like you. It uses your memories, your experiences, your past failures. It says, be realistic. Don't aim too high. People will judge you. And because it sounds like you trust it. But what if that voice is not wisdom? What if it is conditioning? Conditioning from teachers who played small, parents who feared risk, friends who settled. What if the limits you defend were never yours to begin with? Sit with that, because the most dangerous prison is the one you mistake for personality. Chapter 1. How your mind shrank you. Your brain is designed for survival, not greatness. Survival means predictability. Predictability means repetition. Repetition means safety. When you think about doing something bold, your nervous system reacts as if you're under threat. Heart rate increases, palms sweat, thoughts race, and your brain whispers, abort. This is not logic. This is biology. But biology can be overridden. Here is the psychological truth Schwartz hints at. If you repeat small thinking long enough, your brain builds neural pathways that make small thinking automatic. You no longer consciously decide to doubt yourself. Doubt becomes default. You no longer consciously choose hesitation. Hesitation becomes identity. You say, I'm just cautious. But underneath caution is fear rehearsed repeatedly. And rehearsed fear becomes reality. Chapter 2. Your self-image. The invisible operating system. Close your eyes. Picture yourself succeeding at the highest level you secretly desire. Does it feel natural, or does it feel uncomfortable? That discomfort reveals your self-image boundary. Your self-image is like an internal thermostat. If success rises above the level you believe you deserve, you subconsciously sabotage. You procrastinate. You overthink. You hesitate. Not because you lack ability, but because your identity feels threatened. The mind will always fight to stay consistent with how it sees itself. So if deep down you believe, I'm average, you will unconsciously produce average results. This is why thinking big is not about goals. It is about identity reconstruction. You must build a self-image that can psychologically tolerate success. Chapter 3. The addiction to smallness. There is something almost comforting about small thinking. It reduces responsibility. If you don't aim high, you don't risk falling far. If you don't try boldly, you don't risk visible failure. Small thinking protects ego, but it starves growth. And over time, you become addicted to comfort. You choose short-term relief over long-term transformation, scrolling instead of building, planning instead of executing, talking instead of deciding. Each time you avoid discomfort, your brain rewards you with temporary calm, and that calm becomes addictive. This is why growth feels unnatural at first. You are breaking an addiction to comfort. Chapter 4. The moment of cognitive dissonance. There will be a moment, maybe tonight, when you realize something unsettling. You're capable of more, and you have known it for years. That realization creates tension. Psychologists call it cognitive dissonance, the gap between who you are and who you know you could be. Most people resolve this tension by lowering their vision. They say, I don't really want that. Success isn't everything. I'm fine where I am. But deep down, they're negotiating with fear. Big thinkers resolve the tension differently. They elevate their behavior. They close the gap by expanding their action. That is painful, but it is honest. Chapter 5. Reprogramming the subconscious. Your subconscious mind does not respond to logic. It responds to repetition and emotion. If you repeatedly imagine failure with strong emotion, your brain encodes it as expectation. If you repeatedly visualize bold success with emotional intensity, your brain begins to normalize it. This is not fantasy. It is neuroplasticity. The brain rewires based on dominant thought patterns. Schwartz understood this before neuroscience confirmed it. Think bigger repeatedly. Act bigger repeatedly. Speak bigger repeatedly, and your brain begins to accept expansion as normal. The first time feels fake. The 10th time feels possible. The 100th time feels natural. Identity shifts quietly, but permanently. Chapter 6. Fear of judgment, the social cage. One of the deepest psychological barriers is not fear of failure. It is fear of being seen failing. Humans evolved in tribes. Rejection once meant death. So your brain treats social judgment as existential threat. That's why raising your hand in a meeting can feel terrifying. That's why launching publicly feels exposed. But here's the psychological shift. Most people are too consumed with their own insecurities to analyze yours. The spotlight you fear barely exists, and even if judgment comes, it is temporary. But shrinking yourself to avoid judgment créate permanent limitation. You must decide temporary discomfort, au permanent regret. Right now, your brain wants comfort. It wants familiar thinking. It wants safe interpretation. But if you leave this moment unchanged, nothing changes. Your future is not determined by intelligence. It is determined by the size of problems you allow yourself to confront. Think small, you solve small problems. Think big, you grow into bigger ones. Growth is not comfortable. It is destabilizing. But stagnation is psychologically corrosive. It slowly erodes self-respect. And once self-respect erodes, confidence collapses. The only way to rebuild it is through bold action aligned with a bigger identity. A quiet decision. No music, no drama, just you and a choice. Continue reinforcing the identity that feels safe, or begin reconstructing the identity that feels expansive. No one will know the moment you decide. It will be silent, internal, invisible. But years from now, the results will speak loudly. Because thinking big is not about ego, it is about psychological liberation. And liberation begins the second you stop believing the voice that says, stay small.